Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting to you a world-class practitioner of international law, a respected diplomat, and one of the most influential legal scholars of his generation, Professor Martti Koskenniemi. Martti Koskenniemi is Professor of International Law and Director of the Erik Castrén Institute of International Law and Human Rights at the University of Helsinki. He's also held appointments and taught as a visiting professor at the world's greatest universities. Before joining the University of Helsinki, Professor Koskenniemi had a most distinguished diplomatic career in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Finland as a member of the permanent mission of Finland to the United Nations and as counsel before the International Court of Justice. Monsieur le Chancelier, il peut vous paraître un peu étonnant que la faculté de droit veuille honorer un juriste finlandais aussi prolifique soit-il. Outre le climat rigoureux et les longs hivers que nous partageons, les liens entre McGill et la Finlande sont ténus. Mais Martti Koskenniemi est bien plus qu'un simple professeur finlandais. Il est l'un des plus importants, sinon le plus important, penseur du droit international à l'heure actuelle. S'ajoutant à une liste de plus de 150 articles scientifiques publiés en 5 langues à travers le monde, ces 3 monographies parues récemment ont imposé une redéfinition complète du droit international. These books are game changers. They've been described as the source of intoxicating intellectual liberation, exceptionally powerful works that revolutionize the ways in which we can understand both international legal discourse and its history. Professor Koskenniemi's scholarship embodies a key message that is reminiscent of our faculty's intellectual climate, where law presents itself as timeless and universal. Dig deeper to reveal context, particularity, and hidden interests. Move away from the obvious and the familiar. Consider law from alternative perspectives, as he says, to diminish the power of blindness. One author beautifully describes Martti Koskenniemi's scholarship with an image that captures McGill's aspirations for its own students. Quote, all of his thought is located on ridges, exposed to the open air and to multiple horizons, vibrant, strong, fertile, never restricted to its own confines or inward looking, but on the contrary, in constant interrelation with other worlds, other cultures, and other voices. Mr. Chancellor, for the wisdom and insight that he has brought to the teaching and practice of international law, and for his cosmopolitan and humanistic spirit, I respectfully present to you Professor Martti Koskenniemi so that you may confer upon him the degree of Doctor of Law, honoris causa.
J'invite maintenant le professeur Martti Koskenniemi à prononcer son discours.
Chancellor, Principal, Dean Jutras, ladies and gentlemen, above all, the graduates. Why study law at university? It seems obvious for most people that physics, anthropology, and rocket science belong to the world of the academy. It may be unfortunate that the English word science is only rarely applied to law. Even in French, les sciences juridiques sounds a bit pompous, though not wrong, and in the German, Wissenschaft is unproblematically applied to law. The popular image of science still fills the mind's eye by white coats and expensive laboratories. It includes, of course, that of the mad scientist, the nutty professor, that hardly connotes with the professor of law, I think. But law not only has a rightful place at the university. With theology and medicine, it became one of the 3 higher faculties at medieval universities, accessible only once the lower faculty of philosophy had been completed. To be in a higher faculty meant, and I suggest still means, that study is designed to have a practical effect. Practical in the Aristotelian sense, directed at human flourishing. Medicine was to bring about the flourishing of the human body. Theology, the flourishing of the human soul. Law was and is meant to realize the happiness of human beings as social animals. Law was and is the science of the flourishing of the human community. Like theology and medicine, law is both a craft and a practice of intellectual reflection. This, of course, you graduates will feel very concretely once you leave the one and enter the other, or that's what you think. As types of craft, higher faculties aim at practical intervention in human life. The life of the body, the life of the soul, and the life of the individual as a member of community. The medical doctor, the priest, the judge. These are the experts whose craft is to contribute to human flourishing in practice. We meet them dressed up in white, black, or purple. The colors symbolically pointing beyond the single doctor, the single priest, or the single judge, pointing to whole systems of ideas whose home the academy is. The experts' dress and other formalities, such as these, the complex liturgy, remind us that behind the craft there are centuries of intellectual work at institutions we call universities. Universitas is a community of students and teachers, and not, for example, financial consultants or managing directors. What unites the community is its orientation to human flourishing. That is its intellectual assignment, the point of the craftsmanship that you graduates have now received. Flourishing of the body, the soul, the community. Legal academics study the human being as a member of different communities. There is the family, and family law is not just about marriage and succession. It's also about the reflection on the justice of partnership and relations between parents and children. And then there is the polis, the state. Constitutional law reminds us that to be a citizen of a state is not just to be a cog in an administrative machine, but to work with one's peers for the good life that can only be realized in community. And then finally, the international community, the object of my own discipline, international law. What might flourishing mean there? Earlier this year, a report was released by Oxfam, according to which in 2014, the richest 1% of human beings owned 48% of global wealth, and that if the present trend continues, by 2016, by next year, the richest 1% will own more than the remaining 99%. This is not an image of a flourishing global community. If law were medicine, we would say the community is sick. If we were theologians, we would say it has lost its soul. As lawyers, it compels us to recognize the extreme injustice of the world, but it also provides our universities and law faculties with a mission: to cure the world, to repair its soul. Therefore, graduates, ladies and gentlemen, law is an academic discipline. There is a point to all that. It is not just about managing bureaucratic processes or deciding cases. It is also to reflect upon ideal futures that contrast with present practices. What would it be for a community of the world to flourish? It is to answer that question that law has a rightful place in the academy and that lawyers as practitioners should find themselves with. Equality and justice are large and abstract words, easily misunderstood, overused. Therefore, in the law faculties from Helsinki to Montreal, jurists from communities, universitates, imagine how to make those words more of a reality. We speak of scientific revolutions. That word, revolution, plays an important role in the science of our law faculties too. Not to prepare for the next research assessment exercise, but because nothing less can make the world of humans flourish. Congratulations.